just want to welcome everyone to our second college kickoff webinar. So if you missed the last one, you're going to definitely enjoy this one because we have some amazing speakers that are going to be presenting information to you this evening on tackling the college app process and applying for scholarships. So this is an amazing workshop. You're going to learn a lot of information. So before we get started, I want to go over a few housekeeping rules. Just want to make sure that you're muting yourselves, just so that we all have a wonderful webinar experience. And as you have questions, you're welcome to put those in the chat. We will have individuals who will be monitoring that throughout the presentation. And then we will have a formal Q&A at the very end. So again, we just want to make sure that you're muting yourselves. We want to make sure that everyone is respectful in the chat as well as when we're in the Q&A. And so we're going to introduce our community partners, and I want to let you know who all is part of this initiative to bring webinars to you on our college kickoff series. And so I'll start with myself. My name is Tequila Barnes Hall. I am your regional representative for College Foundation of North Carolina. Just in case you're not familiar with CFNC, or College Foundation of North Carolina, we are a service of the state. And what we do is we help you with career planning, academic planning, applying and paying for college. And of course, some of our other partners, we have Guilford County Schools, which is your school district. And we also have the Guilford County Parent Academy represented. And so I'll turn it over to a few of my other colleagues, and they will introduce themselves, and then we'll begin with tonight's presentation. Thank you again for joining us.
Had to unmute myself on that. Hello, everyone. My name is Desire Spurgeon. I am here with the Carolina College Advising Corps, and I serve at Dudley High School as a second-year college advisor. And my coworker, I'll let her go ahead and introduce herself as well.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Desire. My name is Jessie Lutz, and I am the Carolina Advising Corps advisor at High Point Central.
All right, so thank you. We'll go ahead and get into the overview of tonight's session. So we will be covering or tackling scholarships as well as the college application process. So we won't be taking too much of your time, I hope. We're planning to just cover 30 minutes with the information, and then the remaining 30 minutes will be for you all to ask us some questions and for us to answer those questions. If you have questions throughout the presentation, you can just feel free to drop those questions in the chat and we will answer them for you at the end. All right, so the topic overview for tonight, we are going to look at the senior timeline for just things to get done throughout the semester. We're also going to look at Common App, which my coworker Jessie will be covering for you all. CFNC, NC Countdown to College, which starts next week. North Carolina application deadlines, and then scholarships. So first is the senior timeline. Right now, what you can go ahead and start doing is working on those college applications. Many of them, if not all of them, are already open. Their open date was August 1st. So you can use CFNC, Common App, Coalition App, whichever tool you want to use to apply to those colleges. We'll go into a little bit more detail on the next couple of slides about that. What you will need to complete those college applications includes letters of recommendations from teachers. Not all applications require this, but most of them do. So if it does require them, these letters of recommendations are necessary in order for your application to be considered complete. So if they're a teacher, or if you don't have a teacher to write you a recommendation, please figure out if you can find one and at least notify them 2 weeks in advance, just so they have time to write that for you and get it in on time. Something else that you also need for those college applications includes transcripts. You can send your transcripts through CFNC to those North Carolina colleges, or your high school transcript request portal. My school uses script order, so your school may use something similar. You can just contact the guidance counselor or whoever is over transcripts at your school to find out. You can also go ahead and start working on an essay for these college applications. There are many essay prompts already on Common App that you can choose between if you don't know what to write about. And then you can also go ahead and prepare your resume if you don't already have one. This would be all of your activities that you've been participating in since 9th grade, as well as any honors, achievements, if you work an after-school job, anything like that should go on that resume. The next thing that is required for these college applications is the North Carolina Residency Determination Status. So this is for those North Carolina colleges. Many of the colleges are going to require that RCN number, that's the number the residency or the RDS gives you. That RCN number will be required for many of those applications before you're even allowed to submit. So you want to make sure that you are completing this. This is pretty much a two-part application. The first half is the student information. Second half is that parent information. So I would say do it with your parent or parents, whoever you live with. Do it with them because it does require a bit of that personal information from both student and parent. All right, so starting this month, so October through December, things you can work on are completing the FAFSA. The FAFSA is a way that you are going to get money to pay, to pay for college. So with this application, oftentimes students qualify for that Pell Grant, which is free money that you do not have to pay back. I would say complete the application as soon as possible because it is a first come, first serve application, with December 1st being the priority deadline. So the earlier you submit it, just the better chance that you'll get, more money or just a better financial aid package. You can submit submit your FAFSA to 10 school choices. If you have more than 10, that's fine. You'll just have to download your SAR report, which is given to you at the end of your FAFSA, and send that SAR report individually to those additional colleges if you have more than 10. Some colleges also require you to do a CSS profile. Not too many. I put the link here for the colleges who require it. And this is just another way that they can find out what your family's income situation is. Just in case, anything was missed from FAFSA, if they didn't, if your financial situations weren't completely included in your taxes, like if there's additional money going outside of the house, like for additional bills or anything like that, that FAFSA doesn't take account of, the CSS profile usually does capture those other expenses. And then submitting your application. So there are many deadlines between October and December. So again, you can start applying right away. North Carolina Countdown to College, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes, starts next week. It'll be 2 weeks this year where you can submit those applications for free without a fee waiver. But just make sure you're paying attention to those deadlines, which we do have later on in the presentation for you. And know the difference between early action, early decision, regular decision, and enrolling admissions. Early action is non-binding. This is just going to get you an earlier decision for those college applications. But again, it's non-binding. You don't have to, commit to the school if it's early action. Early decision, however, is binding. So this is usually very similar dates to the early action, if not the same date. But this one means you are going to go to that school if you're accepted to that school. So that's the biggest difference to know, I would say, is early action and early decision. One is binding, one is not. Regular decision, these are just a later deadline to get that application in. If you want more time to perfect your application or you just missed the deadlines, it's fine, do regular decision. You just may not get your decision as soon as your peers. Rolling admissions, this means they're going to give you your decision. It's pretty much, I would say, a 2-week turnaround. Many colleges are rolling admissions like ECU, Central, A&T. A lot of them are already giving those decisions back just as soon as the kids kind of get everything submitted. So it really doesn't take much time at all to get those in. So again, those are the differences between when to submit and get your decisions back for colleges. And then again, just start applying for that money. Scholarships, which I'll talk about just after we talk a bit more about the college application process. I'll be showing y'all a list of scholarships that you can already start working on. Scholarships, again, free money for college. You don't have to pay it back. So please apply to these if you are meeting those requirements, just so you can get more free money to go to college. If you can go to college for free, that would be awesome. Get your education with no cost to you. And many of these are also due between October and December. All right, I'll hand it over to Jessie.
Thanks so much. So now we're gonna go into the Common App. The Common App is a hub for applying to lots and lots of institutions around the world. And this kind of streamlines the college application process so that you're only applying to using one portal to apply to multiple colleges. It's going to include one essay with a 650 word limit, and then depending on the school, there will be different requirements. So these are all the schools listed below who take the Common App in the state of North Carolina. So most schools in North Carolina do take the Common App, and then of course you can apply to other schools outside of North Carolina in addition to international schools through this one portal. If you could go to the next slide, please. So here are some Common App steps.
Sorry, did I skip it? I think it's.
Yeah, I think so. It should be on the steps, I think.
That one? Or the one
Yeah,
before?
perfect. Thank you so much. So the Common App steps, there's about 7. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is to gather materials, and I'll go over what you'll need in the next slide. You're going to need to create an account on Common App on the website. You're going to add your colleges that you're interested in applying to. Then you're going to reach out to recommenders, and this also varies per college. I'll go over that in the next slide. Understand the requirements, the deadlines, and what you will need all the documents you'll need to submit this application. And then you're going to write your essay. This again is 650 words. And this is a great opportunity to showcase who you are outside of just your GPA and your grades, to see a more holistic person behind the application. And then the last step is going to review all the information. There might be some other supplemental questions that you'll have to fill out about demographic and maybe what you're interested in. And this also might include checking boxes to qualify for merit scholarships or other scholarship opportunities. And then you're going to review and submit this application. So this is just the basics. Everything that I'm talking about you can find on commonapp.org, and I have put that link in the slides as well. So here are some of the materials you'll need. So like Desire said, you're going to need your RCN. So this is your number from your completed RDS. The RDS, again, is a residency determination services, and this validates that you are a resident of North Carolina to get in-state tuition. So this will save you a lot of money. For example, at UNC, it's half the cost in-state than you would pay for out-of-state. So it's really important if you are a student in North Carolina to do this as soon as possible. You'll often need a copy of your high school transcript. Some schools will ask for final transcripts as well, a list of your activities, work, and family responsibilities, test scores, and just a reminder that all the schools in the North Carolina school system are test optional this year, so they will not be looking at test scores. But some other schools will be requiring test scores when you're applying. Then you'll put in some legal guardian and parent information, and also you'll put in your academic honors and achievements. You'll also want to compile your resume perhaps to help you with the activities and also for your recommenders. So go ahead and start making your resume to help you through the process, and you can actually attach it to the Common App too if you'd like. So each school has different recommender requirements. So some of these might include your counselor. At High Point Central, counselors can help with submitting essays and transcripts, or recommendation letters and transcripts. Parents, teachers other recommenders, maybe a coach from your soccer team or something like that. And also advisors can have a role in the Common App. So we can go ahead and help review it for you and make sure that you're not missing anything. Next slide, please. So here are the Common App prompts. I'm not going to read through each one of them, but there's 7. They're pretty broad. They range from describing accomplishments, describing something about you that makes you unique that you have to share, or any other topic that you'd like to talk about. They're quite broad. You'll need to pick one. And again, it's going to be 650 words. So just some Common App tips. If you qualify for free or reduced lunch, or reach out to your school counselor for the Common App waivers. This is important. It can be really helpful and provide access to a lot more students who don't know that Common App waivers are a thing. Definitely reach out to your counselor for more information on that. And this year, there's a new feature. It's optional, and it's in the additional information section. And this is where students will have a space up to 250 words to explain how they've been impacted by the pandemic. So you can put something here that maybe that was really important or meaningful that was canceled. Maybe your family suffered job losses or other medical troubles that you went through. Go ahead and take this opportunity to write about it here. This will again be under the additional information section. It's totally optional, but if you have something that severely impacted you during this time, it's important to let the schools know so that they can get a fuller picture about you during this past year. Don't go over the word limit. It will cut you off mid-sentence. So I've seen this a lot with students. They have in their activity section or in their Common App essay, they go over the word limit and it just cuts off in the middle of what they're talking about. So you want to be sure that you are at or under the word limit exactly, or you won't be able to finish what you have to say. Another tip for the essays is to be authentic. Like I said before, you're going to be compiling and writing down all your activities, how long you've done it, and a description for each one. So if you are essentially creating an essay form of your activities, it's a bit redundant. You need to write about what makes you unique and what you could maybe add to the university environment or the school that you want to go to. So this is really important that you're not just listing the activity section. And also go ahead and start now. You're already here, so this is a great start. This process takes time. It's kind of like a document scavenger hunt, doing the residency, the FAFSA, and your Common App. It takes some writing, it takes some other recommenders to get on board. So please, please, please start this process as soon as you can. And again, like I said, all the information is covered on commonapp.org. There's a whole first-time student page that goes into detail about all the 7 steps on the Common App. There's videos on there that shows you how to set up an account, how to add recommenders. It's a great resource. So go ahead and visit the site to start your Common App process. And now we're going to move into CFNC. So CFNC is a fantastic account. It's for the College Foundation of North Carolina. And this is also going to be an excellent hub for you as a student in North Carolina. You are going to need this account even if you apply to the Common App to complete your RDS, and to also apply directly to colleges during free college application weeks. So in order to get a free waiver for the admission fee cost, you have to use cfnc.org to complete your applications. If you use the Common App or even their own website, there's no fee waiver. So this is crucial to getting free college applications during this time. And these are some more CFNC resources. So once you make your account and you do your RDS and other practical things like applying to college, there's also a practice application, there's essay tips, and so much more that's on the CFNC website. So go ahead and take a look at that. It's a wonderful resource for all students. So the North Carolina Countdown to College, also known as Free College Application Weeks, is going to be 2 weeks this year. It's going to be from Monday, the 19th of October to the 30th of October. And so again, you're going to need to apply to cfnc.org to submit those applications there for free. The CFNC team has been wonderful and have a lot of resources for you all. There are live events, and you can see that schedule below, where students and parents can get help on their college application process, their FAFSA, etc. And then if you can see on the right-hand side, you are supposed to be preparing to apply. So hopefully you've kind of done the legwork this week and going into the weekend. And then so CFNC also goes through what you need to do for each week. So week 3, next week, will be all about applying. And then week 4, I applied, now what? So CFNC, the website is excellent and will give you a rundown about what you can do to utilize these 2 free college application weeks. These are the schools that will be waiving the fees. It's an extensive list, and it's fantastic that all these schools are participating. If you can go to the next slide, there is also a typed out list for people who maybe have a difficult time seeing the graphic, or if you're more of a list person. So here are all the schools. Go ahead and screenshot it, take a picture of it. It's also on the CFNC website. This is just a fantastic opportunity for North Carolina students to apply to any of these schools here. So please take advantage of it and use your advisors and counselors to help you through this process. So here are the 3 steps for free college application week. You need to do your RDS. Like Desire said, and I'm saying, you need to do this ASAP. And you can do it on ncresidency.cfnc.org, and you'll go ahead and be prompted to sign into your CFNC account. And you will need to do that with your parents or whoever you live with. Then you're going to apply to colleges on cfnc.org. You're going to go to the application hub, and from there you'll log in again with your CFNC account, and you'll pick the schools that you're interested in applying to. Each school is different in terms of essays, in terms of questions they might be asking. So go ahead and add the colleges on CFNC on your application hub to see what exactly they want answered, so you can start working on those essays. And then third and final step is to do your FAFSA. So like Desire was saying, this is free money, and it's first come, first serve again. So the sooner you get this in, the sooner you get it in to FAFSA, the better chances you have to get as much money as possible. And so here's the website, Countdown to College. There's so many resources on there. So go ahead and take a screenshot of that, and then I'll move into the upcoming deadlines. So today, October 15th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, NC, A&T, NC Central, Chapel Hill, and Lenore Rhine are due today. So hopefully you already submitted those. Congrats to those who did, and good luck to anyone who is in that final push before 11:59 p.m. tonight. On the 30th of October, there's going to be an early action deadline for Belmont Abbey. And again, these are upcoming deadlines in the state of North Carolina. And this is not an extensive list. Go ahead and look up your colleges and write it down somewhere in a calendar, etc., with all your deadlines so that you can keep them straight. And then the November deadlines, real quickly, the 1st of November, App State, NC State, UNC Charlotte, UNCW, and Elon will be early action. And early decision will also be Elon, Guilford, High Point, Meredith, Queens, and Warren Wilson. Again, early decision is legally binding. So when you say, yes, I want to do early decision, you are very committed to going to this particular school. And if you do get accepted, you have to retract any of the applications that you sent out to other schools, and plan to attend the early decision school that you applied to. So this also means that you're financially responsible for the college before knowing what your financial aid package will look like. The 15th of November is early action again, Western Carolina, Warren Wilson. And early action is just a earlier deadline where you'll find your results sooner, but it's not binding. And then early decision, UNC Asheville, Davidson, Duke, and Wake Forest. Again, those are legally binding. And then the 25th of November, if you want to be considered for the Honors College at East Carolina and for the merit scholarships there, the deadline for that is the 25th of November. And then we've got the December deadlines. The 1st of December, UNC Charlotte Honors College deadline is on the 1st. UNC Greensboro's priority deadline, and again, more early action deadlines, Guilford, Meredith, Queens. And if you want to be considered for scholarships, this is your deadline for Wake Forest. And then again, the 15th of December, for scholarships, this is your last deadline for East Carolina University. And I'll go ahead and pass it to Desire.
Thank you, Jessie. Good information there, y'all. Hope y'all are taking notes. All right, going into scholarships, I just wanted to share a bunch of scholarship tools with you all, as well as items, just common items that you may need as you're preparing to do scholarships. So for the items that you'll need to complete scholarships, it's very similar to what you need for those college applications. So what do I say? Reuse them. If at all possible, so you don't have to do double the work for yourself. So those essays and short answer questions, if you already did a really good essay from the Common App, it is absolutely okay to use the essay as long as, you know, the scholarship prompt allows you to do so. Recommendation letters, same thing. Those teachers, just ask them in 2 weeks in advance to get those recommendation letters out that you'll need for your scholarships. Transcripts, same thing. Request them through the tool. You cannot request them through CFNC for this one, however, because CFNC is for the North Carolina colleges. For the scholarships, typically what you'll need to do is request it through your high school tool and then go pick it up, or if they mail it out to you, however, you know, you can get it that way, just so you can attach that physically to your application. A lot of the times they want the sealed envelope, well, the sealed transcript from your high school. So you just want to make sure, however your high school does it, or however that scholarship is asking for your transcript, that's how you want to get it to them. Resume, same thing, should be the same resume that you use with your college applications. Just go ahead and start on that if you haven't already. For step number 5 with the endorsements, there's an asterisk next to this because some scholarships require endorsements and some do not. So you just want to check in whatever scholarship it is that you're applying to and see whether or not they require you to be self-endorsed or school endorsed. School endorsements are just, you know, exactly what it sounds like. Your school would have to nominate you for that scholarship. Self-endorsements, again, exactly what it sounds like. You would just go in and endorse yourself before you are allowed to apply. So just make sure you're keeping track of both of those deadlines if it does require an endorsement, because if it does, that means you have to be endorsed before they even let you touch the application. So just make sure you're paying attention to those deadlines with endorsements. Number 6, the ACT and SAT scores, very similar to the college applications this year. Because of COVID, a lot of those scholarships are test optional. Some are still requiring test scores. So again, just check in with the scholarships you're interested in to see. But many of them, because of COVID, they are saying we're waiving that. And then the last thing, but I would say probably the most important step, is to make sure you have time. Just like the college applications, like Jessie was saying, a lot of these are really time consuming and time sensitive with the deadline. So make sure you're preparing well enough in advance to get these things submitted in time, to get your materials. You got to think about it. It's not just you working on it. You have to get your recommenders involved. You have to make sure you get your transcript. You have to make sure all of this stuff is coming back on time. So don't wait till the day before or the day of to say, hey, I'm gonna start working on this scholarship. You need to prep. I would say at least the minimum is 2 weeks before, at least. But I would say at least a month, honestly, especially if you're working on those bigger scholarships where it's a full ride. Give yourself a month to really set out and work on that so your application is perfect. I'll tell you, scholarships are usually more competitive than the colleges themselves, especially if it's a full ride. So for the search tools for the scholarships, I just have a bunch here. North Carolina search tools, Guilford County search tools, Greensboro search tools, just nationwide scholarships, College Board, Say Yes Guilford, and then scholarships for the 16 UNC college for the system of the UNC schools. So I found all those search tools for you because, you know, you can go for broad scholarships or you can narrow it down to the institution itself, down to their departments. So however you want to do it, honestly, there's so many scholarships out there. I wouldn't say, you know, any are necessarily bad. Just make sure they're legit scholarships, not, you know, hackers trying to steal your information. They really shouldn't ask you for anything personal like a social or anything like that. But usually they just ask for the basic stuff. Like I said, they're the items you'll need. And that should suffice for most scholarships. So again, test optional scholarships this year. These are a few that I knew were just like very common scholarships for North Carolina students to apply to that will be test optional this year. So Moorhead Kane, this is a scholarship that is a full ride to UNC Chapel Hill. Park, this is a full ride to NC State. NC A&T's or North Carolina A&T University, the Cheatham White Scholarship, which is a full ride there, test optional. Dowdy, another full ride to A&T, test optional. EC Scholars, which is East Carolina Scholars, full ride, test optional. And then the Levine Scholars for UNC Charlotte is also test optional. So these are all institution specific. I said the college names as I was calling them out. So if you are interested in those schools and you meet the requirements for these scholarships, you can go ahead and submit those with or without a test score, up to you. The test blind scholarship this year is Jack Kent Cook, which I believe is always test blind. Test blind just means they will require you to put a test score in the application, but they won't be using it in the decision process. So just thought I'd notate the difference with that. All right, so some upcoming scholarship deadlines today, just like the early decision deadline, Moorhead Kane is going to be due for Chapel Hill tonight. So make sure you get that in if you want to be considered. This is a scholarship where you can self-endorse or where the school can endorse you however you want to do it. As long as you meet the requirements, you can apply. But again, that is due tonight. So please get that in if you're interested in going to Chapel Hill. October 17th, which is 2 days from now, there is a Dr. Pepper tuition giveaway scholarship up to $125,000. This one, you do have to be 18 by November the 1st, I believe. So you can do that. I believe that was really the only requirement. Is that you must be 18 by November. So do that. That's a really great opportunity. You can take it to any college. October 25th, again, you can take this one to any college as well. It's the Horatio Alger up to $50,000. The requirements for that one aren't too steep. I have it on the list down there below. I can't quite remember what the GPA requirement was, but if you're, you know, just interested in some of that money there, you can absolutely apply to that. October 30th, Jack Kent Cook is due up to $40,000 per year. So that is essentially a full ride as well. October 31st, Voice of Democracy and Coca-Cola Scholars are both due. So again, those two you can take to any school, just like Jack Kent Cook and Horatio Alger and Dr. Pepper. So go ahead, and if you just, you know, find yourself interested in getting free money, this is money you don't have to pay back, apply to these scholarships. I have a full scholarship list for this semester. The link is posted here. So if we're able to share these links with you, I will give that list to you. All right, so just to recap, some of the things that are available for you all to do right now, like today, as soon as you get off of this call, are to complete your residency if you haven't already. Once you do that one time, you don't have to do it again, so just go ahead and knock it out. College applications, again, they're already open. If you already qualify for free waivers and you want to go ahead and submit those for free, like all of my students, what I've been telling y'all to do, go ahead and do them. You don't have to wait till next week. But if you don't qualify for a week free waiver and you want to go ahead and take advantage of submitting some applications for free, that's absolutely fine. You can start submitting Monday. Creating your FSA ID and completing FAFSA, that application opened up October 1st. So if you haven't completed already, again, it's first come, first serve. Go ahead and knock it out. You only have to do it once a year. So you'll be done with it for the remainder of the year if you do it now. Say Yes Scholarship, which also opened the 1st, is also, well, it's open just like FAFSA. You do have to do FAFSA in order to get the money back from this. So you can go ahead and complete that application. It really doesn't take long at all, y'all, like less than 2 minutes to fill out. So go ahead and fill that out as well. And then scholarships, many of them are already available, like today. So these are all things, these 5 things you can go ahead and start doing right now. All right, so Say Yes Guilford. Does someone from Say Yes Guilford want to cover just a few things?
Yeah, sure. I can hop in here.
All right, Brandy.
So thank you, Desire. Desire mentioned a lot of local, national, school specific scholarships that you all can begin applying for. Today we're going to highlight one of our local ones. So my name is Brandy Kennedy, and I serve as the Assistant Director of Student Outreach and Post-Secondary Access. And so as she mentioned, our scholarship has opened up for the academic year. So if you are a Guilford County senior, this is your time to begin doing this application by June 1st. And so it's very easy. As she mentioned, it only takes about 2 to 3 minutes. It's going to just ask you some demographic information. You do that at sayyesguilford.org, and it will then take you to a registration page. A lot of you all also asked just about some other scholarship resources. If you all scan the QR code or follow the link there, it will take you to our Say Yes Guilford newsletter, which is another resource that you can use in addition to our scholarship, just to help you navigate the college out process. It isn't an exhaustive list of all the scholarships available, but it includes a lot of local and very common school specific ones. And moving on to the next slide. So here's just a few screenshots of it. It was out in September, so it did mention September dates, but it also begins to mention some other local scholarships. And then you can move on to the next slide. And this is just opportunity. We really want you all to tune into some of our upcoming events. This is just a collaborative effort between all of our community partners, but we really want to highlight our upcoming events. So we ask that you all tune into our financial aid frequently asked questions workshop. I know you all have dropped a lot of questions about that in the chat, as well as our line by line FAFSA walkthrough that's coming up on November 12th. So you will register using the same link that you registered to today at sayyesguilford.org/fall college series. And so we hope that you join us for those events. And lastly, thinking about some of our events, we really, we know that it has been a challenge during the pandemic to, tour colleges, obviously outside of virtually, but we really think that it's important. There normally is a really large college fair here for the district, but unfortunately due to COVID, we can't do that. However, Say Yes Guilford is very excited to announce our virtual college expo that we're going to be doing this year. And so it is sort of hard to see on the screen, but Warshay will drop it in the chat, the link that you can register. And so this will mention, this will include many of our local partners, 8 of our partners, local ranging from GTCC to Chapel Hill, High Point University, so a wide variety of institutions. And it's just the opportunity for you juniors and seniors to hear about the college application process, any changes that you may have to, any changes that may be coming up in lieu of COVID, such as Desire mentioned, such as being test optional, and how that will impact you. So we really hope that you tune in. So thank you all.
All right, thank you, Brandy. So that concludes our presentation, y'all. I did go a little bit over, but that's fine. We still have plenty of time for questions and answers. This is just how you can contact Jesse and I if you have any additional questions or just want to see like what we post for our schools in the community. And then just I also included my YouTube page, which I upload a lot of tutorials that my students find useful to help them walk through the college process. So if you want to get that contact information down just to reach out to us with additional questions, that's absolutely fine. I also have some of our partners' contact information, so I'll go to those screens as well. Try to give you a little time to take a picture if you want a picture. All right. So our partner contact information as well. So again, like Miss Tequila mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we are partnering with Guilford County Schools and Parent Academy. This is the contact information if you want to reach out to them about more information for Guilford County Schools and the Parent Academy. This is information, the contact information for CFNC and then Say Yes Guilford if you are interested in learning more information about what is going on with them. All right, and that concludes our presentation. Thank y'all so much for watching, and we'll go over into the question and answer part.
Yes. So I know that a lot of you all have dropped questions in the chat throughout. So feel free to go ahead if you've had any questions throughout to continue to drop them. I'm going to highlight a few questions that continue to come up. But we'll, as much as time allots, we'll continue to ask these questions. So for the first one, I know that cost is a very large barrier to college. So there are a lot of scholarships out there. You hear, you know, there's scholarships for everything, but where do I begin looking? And you sort of highlighted some of these tools, but what is a great place to start if I just don't know anything?
So a great place to start if you're like just starting, like bare first line with the college application process, are many of the sites that we use just here. I know there's plenty of resources, so it can be overwhelming, but I would say start just like with the list we did there. I give my students a checklist of things they can do every month, so it's not overwhelming for them. So we just started with residency. If you know, like, well, I would say if you like haven't even started thinking about what you want to do, but you know you want to go to college, start by making a college list. Just do some research, like gather your GPA, stuff like that, and see what kind of schools you would fit into. Think about your major and stuff like that. Once you have your college list, then you can start with the college process. Complete your residency for North Carolina if you know you're going to stay in state. Like I said, you do that once, you don't have to do it again. Might as well knock it out. Then I would say complete your FAFSA. The FAFSA honestly requires the same information that the RDS has. So if you can do those together, since they're both open now, go ahead and do them together. Again, you can list up to 10 colleges on your FAFSA. So you can just put 10 colleges on that list at one time, so you don't have to log in and change anything, and then submit that out then, and then just start doing the applications. You can choose whichever site you want to use to start those applications, CFNC, Common App, Coalition App, whichever one you want to use. If you are going to be participating in NC Countdown to College next week, you must apply through CFNC if you want it to be free without that waiver. So you must do it. That's the only time you have to go through CFNC. But other than that, you can use whichever, you know, website you want to use to do those applications. But I would say those are kind of the three things, like the bare minimum if you really haven't started anything: college list, residency, FAFSA, and then go ahead and start applying. I hope that kind of answered your question.
Yes. Thank you. That was a great answer. So I guess you sort of alluded to it, but I just want to confirm. I want to make sure I got the dates right on my calendar. When is NC College Countdown Week again? I want to make sure I'm able to create my account because I forget everything.
Cool. So it starts Monday. So coming up just a few days around the corner, October 19th is the day that CFNC, well, you can make your account in advance. Like if you don't already have an account, you can go ahead and do that. Like I said, you can go ahead and do your residency just so that all of that is ready to go. And honestly, you can start on the applications and save them if you want to go ahead and start and save them. It's just it won't be free to submit them until Monday. So you can start anytime. It's just you want to start submitting starting Monday through the 30th. As long as you submit in that window, you will be able to get it for free without submitting a waiver behind it. So if you want to get started, go ahead. Nobody is stopping you. Just save, and then when it comes to Monday, you can go ahead and submit them all. I usually, like, if I have some of my students who want to do that, I tell them go ahead and start them all in advance, save them. That way, when it comes Monday, you won't, the system won't be overwhelmed. You just submit all of them, and they'll all be free at the same time.
Thank you. So another question that continuously came up is, I'm 11th grader, and is it too early to begin writing a college essay or just planning for college? Because I don't quite sure know what to do, but I know it's coming up soon.
Great question.
11? Oh,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jesse.
Okay, great question. 11th graders can definitely get started. So what you can do is to start thinking about where you might want to go ahead if your school offers them and sign up for virtual visits. Like at my school, 11th graders are more than welcome to come to ask questions of the admissions reps and to kind of get together a list of potential schools they might be interested in. Also, with the Common App, it's never early to start. A lot of my students in AP language classes in 11th grade went ahead and wrote their essays. The Common App essay prompts don't really change. If they do change, it's a big deal, but I don't think they'll be changing for the next few years. They're very generic, so you can go ahead and start thinking about what you might like to write, and take time to edit that too. If Desire has anything else to add about 11th graders, please free to go ahead.
I think you did a great job, Jesse. All of those things, juniors, y'all can go ahead and start on it right now. With making your college list, I would say that's a great way to start. Get that resume, go ahead and start on it so that way you don't have to, think of everything you've been doing since 9th grade when you get to 12th grade. Go ahead and start adding that up now so you can just continue to add on it when you get to 12th grade. Participating in service learning. If you can find any virtual opportunities, do that. If you're working or if you aren't doing anything, start now so that you can have something to put on your resume. Build rapport with your teachers so that way you have somebody to write you a recommendation letter next year. Don't wait, all to the last minute to think, oh, I have to start now. No, start now in your junior year so that senior year it's easier for you. So that would be the only thing I add. Just really start on that stuff. Essays, absolutely, like Jess was saying, start now. You can go ahead and start and just edit it. So that way it's just ready to submit. Everything should be just ready to submit by the time you get to senior year if you start now.
Thanks so much, Desire. And also I would add that if there are any underclassmen on here, younger siblings, you can also start thinking about this process. One of the basic ways to do that is to make sure that you're doing well in your classes, take challenging classes, and make sure that you're paying attention to your GPA, because at the end of the day, all schools are looking at your GPA, whether we like it or not. We're not defined by our test scores or our GPA, but it does matter. So go ahead and work on those good grades and start with that. And also, as Desire said, start working on those connections with teachers and your counselors at the school. Pop into your counselor, make a visit with your counselor. They're gonna be key to this whole process. And oftentimes they're gonna be writing letters for you. So if they don't even know who you are, it's just not going to be as strong a letter as if you were to kind of start building that relationship now.
Thank y'all so much for answering that question. I know that we've talked a lot about the college app process, but now I have a few more questions, and this one is really related to the FAFSA. So, I've heard that I need to do the FAFSA, but I don't know what tax returns I use, and I haven't filed my 2020 taxes yet. So what tax returns do I use for the FAFSA, and what is the FSA ID? Like, I'm seeing all these acronyms. I don't quite know what to do.
So the FAFSA is prior year. So if you want to know, more information about walking through the FAFSA, we have another FAFSA presentation, or another presentation which will be solely focusing on FAFSA on the 26th. So just another 2 weeks from now, a little bit less than. But it's just the 2019 year for the taxes. So you don't have to worry if you didn't file your 2020. That will not be used for this one. FSA ID, that is just something you need to create before you do that FAFSA application. This is required to even be able to log in. So it's just one step you have to do before. Same information needed. It doesn't take very long to make that FSA ID. It's just linked to your social security number. So go ahead and make that first if you are a senior doing that, and then you can start the application. Again, it is 2019 tax information.
So it's not 2018.
No, 2018 would have been last year.
Yeah, so it'll go up every year. So like I sort of remembered if I did 2019 this year, you just keep it on, moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So the
So
next
if
year,
The only reason why I ask, because under FAFSA, it says if you graduated from 2021, so she graduates in the senior year, 2021. So I thought it was 20 to 21, but you actually, it's the 2021, 22.
yes,
That kind of
ma'am.
weird.
sorry,
Okay.
y'all go ahead.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's the one that you need to do. If they're a senior this year and they're planning to go to college next fall, they need to do the 2021, 2022.
That's what, okay.
Yeah, that's what you'll need to do. Now, if they're graduating, early, and I know it's very rare, but some start in the spring, then they would, do that other application. But for most of them, which are going to not starting until next fall, they will need to do the one that has the 2022 on it.
The other
Yeah.
question I have about FAFSA, and this is the last question. When it's actually going through the tax return, they're asking you for specific things, and if you don't have it, do you just finish up and go on, or how's that work?
Feel free to use there's an option on there that you'll see called the data retrieval tool, the IRS data retrieval tool. And it's a tool that'll allow you to link your tax returns using the information provided on your, the demographic information to match it. And it will essentially plug in everything for you. So anywhere that you may feel stuck, it's a computer, and it actually will, it's a system that it'll plug it in for you. And it also ensures that you won't be marked for verification, because it would have gotten that information directly from the IRS. So I always recommend that.
Okay, thank you.
Did you all have anything else to add to that before I moved on to the next question?
Nope.
Okay, and this one is just that you all have given us so much great information about ways to apply, how to apply, but there are so many different college application platforms. So which one do I use? And I'm sort of confused because there are so many options. Like they have portals, they have CFNC, they have Common App. What do I do?
So as I mentioned before, really the choice is yours. However, if you are going to be participating in NC Countdown to College, which starts next week, you will have to apply through CFNC, and that is only the North Carolina schools. Now, if you're applying out of state, and many, like couple of North Carolina schools, they only use like Common App or Coalition App. So it's really, I would say it depends on the schools you're applying to. But if you want to keep it as simple as possible, I usually tell my students to go between CFNC or Common App, like use those two, because you can usually catch many of those North Carolina colleges and out-of-state colleges between those two websites. So other than that, it's really up to you, up to preference. Honestly, they'll get the application the same either way, but up to you.
Okay, I wanted to, before I decided on any more questions that I saw comment in the chat, I wanted to open the floor up if there were any specific questions that you all, dire questions as we begin to wrap up, that you all wanted to drop in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourselves to ask. If not, I do have another question, so I'll give you all a few seconds to think about that.
I see somebody ask a question about the prompts. I think that's a pretty good question.
Okay.
So they asked about when using Common App, do you use the same essay for all the schools? Or are the prompts good for most colleges? And with that, yes. Now, some of them in the application, they may ask for additional like short answer responses. But the overall like 650 word essay, they do use that one general essay that you can send out to all of the schools. I would say, type the essay up in the Word document if possible, so you can just reuse that essay for like scholarships and stuff like that as well. We don't want this process to be like extra work for y'all. So if you're doing one good solid essay where you've had, your advisor, your counselor, your English teacher, whoever review that essay for you and they think it's a solid essay, save and reuse that essay. Don't make yourself do more work.
Alrighty, and can you all just really reiterate the dates for NC College Countdown? I want to ensure that everyone has that on their calendar and that they don't miss out on this opportunity. And if you do receive your free or reduced lunch, please be sure to understand that you're eligible for a waiver.
Okay, everyone, mark your calendars. It is this Monday, the 19th of October, 2020. That's when it's going to start. And then it goes all the way to the 30th of October. It's going to be a Friday at 5 p.m., I believe. And so I think also, Brandy, if you want to chime in, I think it starts at 9 a.m. on Monday. Is that correct?
Tequila's here on the call from CFNcorg.
Oh, Tequila. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's a great question. So at the beginning of the day, so usually around like 7, 8 o'clock, it should be open for you guys to begin. If not, it'll be shortly after. And then I just want to make sure, that on Monday, like I said, it'll be open for you. And to reiterate, this is very, very important, that your application must be submitted and, completed and submitted by 5 p.m. on October 30th. So not 5:01, not 5:02, 5 o'clock is the cutoff. So make sure that I always tell students, make sure you submit your information prior to that time, because you never know what can happen with your technology or computers or whatever, but it must be completed and submitted by October 30th at 5 p.m.
Thank you, Tequila.
Okay, so thank you all again. I know that you all had that slide with those upcoming dates. Is there a way that you could go back to those so that students and families can maybe take a picture? The dates specifically about college apps that are coming up. And yeah, just make sure that you all tune in to our upcoming events. Our fall, the rest of our college series. So we have an event on October 26th, which will highlight the financial aid application, and then November 12th, which is a line by line financial aid workshop. And then be sure to register for our Say Yes events as well, including our virtual college expo. And so again, feel free to follow us on social media, all of our partners, and thank you all for joining again tonight. And we hope that you all tune in again to our next event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Great job, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.